Hello and welcome to this installment of Talkin Trim. I'm Jonathan Skinner and today we're looking at the carpet set for the Jaguar XK140 fixed head coupe models. So this video is going to focus on the carpet set, but I'm also going to touch on some of the related items, some of which are actually featured in this video. So the related hardware items that we're going to touch on are the under carpet felt soundproofing kit, as well as the carpet fixing kits. You can see here as well that I've also got the centre cushion armrest, or one of the versions of the 140 centre cushion armrest, which I will touch on briefly, but I put this in this video more to illustrate how its inclusion within the carpet set setup when you come to fit things is important. Often when people are restoring bare shell restorations and things and they get a carpet set, they question are the pieces missing in between the carpet set, and that is all related to the centre cushion armrest. So I will touch on that, but I'm not going to go into too much detail on the actual makeup of the armrest itself, but more how it ties into the fitment with the actual carpet set. So we're going to be touching on that as well. Some other related items that you should consider getting at the same time as the carpet set that are not featured in this video, I am going to touch on referring in the books there at the front, and it's basically all the elements in the back of the car, in the rear deck of the car, and they're an obvious follow-on from the carpet set because of the materials that are used. So you may wish to consider getting those at the same time, dependent on the level of restoration that you're working to. So I will touch on those briefly. It's worth noting at this stage that the carpet set is included in the trim kit, or you can buy it separately as a kit, which is effectively everything in your screen at the moment here. So we sell it as a kit, but it is included as standard in our trim kit. The fixings and the underfelts are sold separately, but both of those items are included again as standard in the trim kit, so bear that in mind there. Now, I will be doing other videos, so I encourage you to check those out. Some will be linked at the end of this video, other ones you can find on our YouTube channel. And some of those videos will detail some of these parts in more depth, things such as the centre cushion armrest. I'll do a separate video for that. But also, as I mentioned, the items in the sort of rear deck cabin area of the car, I plan to do videos detailing those in conjunction with a carpet set so that you can see how it all ties in terms of that element of things. So do check those out, either related videos at the end of this one or videos on our YouTube channel. Stay tuned for that, and obviously I recommend you subscribe to make sure you get notifications about that. But let's dive into this particular carpet set here. So like I say, it's a Jaguar XK140 FHC fixed head coupe. This particular carpet set is for a right-hand drive car, and it's for a manual gearbox. Manual gearbox is by far and away the most commonly seen XK140 variation of the carpet set. You did get some automatics, but they were very rare, very sought after as well. We do have all of the patterns, so we have patterns for all the right-hand drives, all the left-hand drives, all the automatics, all the manuals, so bear that in mind. But this is a right-hand drive manual. It's going over to a customer in Australia, but I will touch on the sort of difference between right-hand drive and left-hand drive. So even if you have a left-hand drive manual, this is still a decent representation of the carpet set. It's just a couple of the items are effectively mirrored in terms of where the cutouts are. It's also worth noting at this stage that the heel pads on this carpet set are slightly different to what's commonly seen, but that is a special request of the customer, and I will detail that again, referencing in the books when I come to it. This carpet set's been done in what we refer to as classic red, which is a deep tone red. We offer 4 different shades of red, everything from bright red up until maroon. So you've got really, really bright at one end of the spectrum, and then you've got maroon, which is sort of almost a reddy purple shade at the other end. This is the second darkest, just before maroon. So this is a very popular option because it ties in a lot with some of the original colours that were used by Jaguar way back when. So this is classic red. Do check out our materials and colours library because, like I say, we've got lots of different shades in all the different colours. I think we're one of the only companies in the world that offers the amount of colours that we do. And it even comes down to the edging as well. When we edge our carpets, we use leathercloth. We don't use vinyl. A lot of other companies use vinyl out there, which is presumably a cost-saving exercise because they don't want to have the correct material for edging carpets in stock as well. But do check out, I am doing a blog post on this and also a video on this detailing the differences between vinyl and leathercloth when it comes to edging carpets, but there is a significant difference in terms of the look and finish. So leathercloth, one, is original. It's often referred to as Rexin or Vinide, but it's original for this era of production for edging carpets, and it creates a very, very succinct and neat finish as you go around the carpets. Everything is consistent, lovely corners on them, lovely tight corners. But the key with leathercloth for edging carpets is it's crucially a bit thinner than vinyl, but still has its core strength and robustness to it. So if you scratch leathercloth with your nail, nothing happens. It's very robust material. Whereas if you do that with vinyl, you'll start actually picking away at the surface layer of it. When it's wrapped around such a short space like that with vinyl, it can be very problematic and it can cause scuffs. But also vinyl's slightly thicker, so it's a bit messier, I think, when it edges carpets. One, it's big and bulbous, but two, it kind of creates this wrinkled effect as you go along. So yeah, we do our carpets in leathercloth strictly, whereas other companies out there take shortcuts and do them in vinyl. I am going to be doing a video and blog post detailing that, and I do encourage you to watch that because it's one of the many reasons that we're known in the industry for our quality and workmanship is the application and use of the correct materials. So we've edged our carpets in leathercloth. This is in Matador Red, which ties in with the main trim colour that the customer is using throughout the car. Again, we have several shades of red leathercloth as well. So depending on what shade of carpet you go for, depending on what shade of leathercloth you go for, you can get lots of different finishes throughout. And again, it's that attention to detail that we offer that lots of other people don't offer there. Now, it is worth noting that obviously not all the carpet edges are bound or edged, and that's done deliberately. Basically, the main floor carpets are, but say the sides of the gearbox are not. And then at that point, we make the sides of the gearbox wider than they need to be, so that the concept being no raw edges on show when everything is fitted, because you tuck it down underneath the adjacent floor carpet, which has the edging on it, and therefore it hides. But it also helps with the fitment of the carpets, because you get this overlap sequence between carpets, which means that there's no exposed areas. So it's all by design, these sorts of things. We've tinkered with the patternings over the years to make sure that you get the best fitment within the car. And again, it's that attention to detail that has given us a reputation that we have got globally within the industry for that there. So that's the general concept. If there's a raw edge of carpet, then normally it's not on show. It's normally tucked underneath an adjacent bound edge or edge piece of carpet, or it's tucked under an adjacent panel or something like that, so it's not actually on show. Anyway, let's actually get started on the pieces individually. So let's start at the front of the car. So we'll start with the toe boards. Like I say, this is right-hand drive. So the cutaways are on the right-hand toe board. That obviously sits up vertically in the footwell area underneath the dash, and you have the cutaways here for the steering column, and then for the pedals, two pedals there. The throttle pedal at the bottom here, you just make a cutaway here, and that gets lost during the sort of fitment process there. So you can see up here how it all goes together, etc. So you can see, obviously, there we are, that's the right-hand drive. So you can see the steering wheel column coming through there, etc. So you get a pair of those. They are edged, but they're not all the way around, because one, you want to be making a cutaway here for one of the pedals, but two, then that gets tucked underneath and hidden underneath the adjacent edge on the front floor there. So you get a pair of them. Obviously the left-hand side doesn't have any cutaways on it for a right-hand drive car, but effectively imagine a mirror image if you have a left-hand drive car, and that's those pieces. You then have the clutch housing, which is a very confusing piece of, well, a few pieces of carpet edged and sewn together. Like I say, it's an absolute maze of pieces there. That did differ between right-hand drive and left-hand drive. Again, some of the pieces are flipped, mirrored, obviously, whereas other pieces do stay the same. And you can see, actually this gives a nice indication in this book here. You can see how it all fits together. Obviously, once it's put in the car over the clutch housing, it really does sort of fill out, shall we say, and come into its own. But yeah, it's a bit of a confusing, messy piece in terms of when it's just sort of laid down like that. But that is that section there, you can see. around here. Now again, some of the pieces did actually change in terms of the material used as well, depending on right-hand drive and left-hand drive. I think the left-hand drives, they used a bit of Hardura for one of the sections as well, because that doubled up as a heel pad, which I'll touch on briefly. But for the right-hand drives, it was carpet throughout. So that's effectively all the underdash areas of the carpets there that are included as standard. If we then move our way back, and I'll just bring the books with me for reference. You then have the main gearbox carpet, which obviously has the gear lever gaiter coming out of it there. The gear lever gaiter is leather, and it's got the surround section also done in leather, which is quite a unique way that we actually do it, which I think is a vast improvement on the original setup on it. But that's the gear lever gaiter there. Now, you can see it is this kind of strange raised section on the 140s. The 120s, and I believe the 150s reverted back to it as well. They kind of just had this gearbox bit, and then it went straight into where the gear lever gaiter came out there. Whereas the 140s, you had this kind of raised sewn section, which you can see, it's one-handed, but you can see that's that element there. So that's all correct to originality there, and it's bound around this section here and at the front here as well. Also, with regards to the main gearbox section there, is you get a piece of pre-cut material for recovering the inspection panel cover. So you can see on the gearbox tunnel there, you get well, certainly on that one there, you get an inspection panel, and that material there is for covering that. We don't pre-cut the hole for the inspection panel. That's a foolish thing to do. That is always best done during the fitment process to ensure that everything matches up correctly for your car. Then we'll just cover the prop shaft cover there. So that goes at the back of the gearbox tunnel just before the diff hump comes in. So it's this piece of carpet here. And this is where the centre cushion armrest comes into it, because effectively that's the setup when it's in the car, and you have this gap in between here. And a lot of people, like I say, when they're doing a ground up restoration, they don't necessarily have any of the original trim fitted, or even any of the original trim full stop. They often think a piece of carpet is missing. It is not. That sits there and covers up the gap basically in between them there. So that's why I wanted to include that in the video. Now, it is worth noting that the 140s had two different versions of armrests. This is the more commonly seen later version, which then went into the 150 models. It's what we refer to as the round front, for the obvious reason it has a round front. But some of the early 140s carried on from the 120s, and they had a rectangular one, which we refer to as a square front, fitted. But the concept on it is exactly the same. So there you go, there's a round front version like in this video. And are we going to see a square one? Yeah, there's a square one, albeit this is on a 120, but the concept's exactly the same on them there. So bear that in mind there. Now, it is worth noting on the centre armrest that the later version, as per this one, has the gear lever gaiter, not the gear lever gaiter, sorry, the handbrake gaiter cover pre-sewn into the actual cover itself, whereas the early one that was a square or rectangular version, that had a separate sewn cover for the handbrake. And it is worth noting as well that the handbrake did change sides on the cars. Strictly, it should have been changed sides due to the right-hand drive and left-hand drive, but as with all the production lines back then, they were a law unto themselves, and so we always ask the question, what side of the gearbox is your handbrake on? And we would then make the cover accordingly. In theory, that is the right-hand drive spec, i.e. when you're sat in the car on the right-hand side of the car, you're resting your arm on it and you're reaching over the gearbox with your left hand and putting the handbrake on. So the opposite would be true. If it was left-hand drive, it would be on this side. However, we have seen plenty of examples where the handbrake is on the incorrect side of the car for the driver in theory. Presumably they were just getting cars off the production line. So we always ask the question just to be completely safe. But anyway, that's the sort of rear prop shaft carpet piece for the carpet set, where you obviously have that bridge gap in between, which is where the armrest sits in there. Now let's touch on the front floors, the main front floors. You obviously get a pair of them. They did differ between right hand drive and left hand drive. And you've got obviously the XKs. It was basically a floor pan carpet. It didn't have a rear section and front section. It was all one piece. It went right underneath the seat. So it's a very long carpet, edged all the way round. And then you had the heel pads. Now the heel pads, bit of a subject of debate, but certainly there were two types that we're aware of. You had the leather rectangle versions, which is this version here, or you had the sort of moon-shaped Hardura versions, which are these versions here. We can offer both. We have the patterns for both. Again, we normally ask the customer what their preference is, and we act accordingly based on that. So these are the leather versions here, which obviously the exact same leather we've used for the gear lever and for the centre cushion armrest. They're onto plastic underneath. They're skived for the better, neater finish on them. And then they're stitched on. They don't have the cross on them. We can do the cross if you want, but as is commonly seen, I believe, mistake for the XKs. As far as I'm aware, and I'm sure there are occasions where this didn't happen, but as far as I'm aware, the XK120s left with the rectangular heel pad with the cross on it, and then the 140s and 150s, it was just a rectangle if it was the leather version there with no cross on it. But we see plenty of examples where people put the crosses on it. As standard, we do not, but we can if you want. But yeah, so that's effectively the carpet set and front floors, etc. Now let's just touch on, while I'm down here, the sort of rear section of the car that, like I say, do check out other videos that I will be doing. But basically, behind the seats, you've got the rear seats. You have the diff hump. You had the rear access hatch into the boot trunk area. You had the wheel arches. All of those pieces are made out of moquette. Moquette is a very similar material to carpet. It's effectively a very short pile unbacked carpet. It's exactly what's used on the back of this armrest here, so you can see. But it is a wall-based product, so it's very similar to the carpet. You can see the colour ties in pretty well as well. It's the same material they used on the back of the front seats as well. Now, because it's this sort of moquette here, 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 all these little mini wheel arch covers there, it directly follows on from the carpet set. This is the prop shaft. This is this piece of carpet here, and you can see it directly follows on. So these pieces are sold separately. I want to make that clear to people. We do sell them separately to the carpet set. They are not included in the carpet set. But this is why perhaps you should be considering getting some of these rear section areas at the same time as the carpet set, because then it all ties in naturally, that progression. If you're putting a brand new piece of carpet there, and then you've got your old diff hump moquette there, it's going to stick out like a sore thumb. So we do encourage people to consider those items at the same time as well, so bear that in mind. So that's that kind of rear section, but like I say, I will be doing a separate video detailing those in the future and combining them with the carpet set so that people can see. Lastly, I just want to go over the actual hardware for the carpet set. So we've got the soundproofing underfelt kit, so it's the under carpet kit basically. Now we offer the original spec natural jute felt. So it's a jute felt, has this coating on the top side, so that top black side faces the sky when it's in there, and we offer a pre-cut version of the carpet set ready to fit in the car. Now a lot of people obviously go down the modern day Dynamat, Dodo matting. There's quite a few brands out there, but Dynamat is certainly the main brand that people are aware of, and people put that in the car and then assume you don't necessarily need a carpet underfelt kit, and that really does depend. So to start with, I'm never going to even try and argue that our natural jute felt kit is akin in terms of how good it is at blocking out sound and heat. It's not. The modern day stuff is absolutely fantastic, and I highly encourage it. In fact, we are looking into offering pre-cut kits in that, so watch this space. Currently we do not. But coming back to the original point, if you've got your modern day heat barrier material fitted in the car, do you need an underfelt? Really depends on the thickness of your modern day stuff. A lot of the really high-end stuff goes down to absolutely nothing when it's in the car. I've got it in my car, and when you fitted it all, you know, you're talking a millimetre or two thickness on it. And so in that case, we do recommend using our natural jute felt kit as well, because you've got to appreciate that the carpets have all been templated with a certain thickness underneath the carpets. That's the way they're designed to fit in the car. So if you take away some of that thickness, you're not going to have necessarily the correct positioning of the carpets in the car for optimum fitment. So bear that in mind. We recommend anywhere between 5 and 10 millimeters underneath the carpets for best fitment. Also, the felt kit does offer a nice soft underfoot feel to it, so bear that in mind. So yeah, generally speaking, we do recommend using our felt kit in conjunction with the modern day stuff, unless your modern day stuff is quite thick effectively, so bear that in mind. So that's the under felt kit. It is sold separately to the carpet set, but it is included as standard in the trim kit. Finally, fixings. The XK fixings used a combination of these here. So that was pot riveted to the bodywork of the car. That popped onto there. That goes through, that will go through the carpet. That gets lodged onto the other side and fitted in, and then the combination of that and that went onto those there. Then you also had some screws fitted as well. So that is the carpet fixing kit. Obviously you get multiples of each of them, and we supply that. Yeah, you can see the little fixings up in the footwell area there. So yeah, that's sold separately, but is included in the trim kit as well. I think that finishes off the video. So, like I say, right-hand drive manual spec of a Jaguar XK140 fixed head coupe. We got the carpet set, obviously available in lots of different colours, both the edging and the actual carpet itself. Heel pads, there's 2 options on it. You've either got the D Hardura ones, or you've got the square rectangle leather ones. Difference between right-hand drive and left-hand drive and automatic and manual, we have all of the patterns. Then you've got the hardware items you should consider at the same time. You've got the fixings and you've got the felts. In addition to that, you may wish to consider getting a few other items in the rear cabin area of the car, and obviously the centre cushion armrest, but that was mainly there just to show you the gap in the carpet set and how that gap is filled, so bear that in mind. Hope you found that useful. Like I say, be sure to check out the linked videos at the end of this one, as well as all the other videos on my YouTube channel. Click that subscribe button to make sure you get notified of any new videos. Please share with other classic car enthusiasts out there. And of course, if you've got a Jaguar 140 fixed head restoration up and coming, please do contact us. I'd be more than happy to help. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.